How's it going, guys? I'm your host Korriban Gaming. Welcome back to a very special DragonFable video, and for today's video, we are going to be going through every single thing that you need to know about guesses inside of DragonFable 2021. Keep in mind that the information inside of this video is accurate at the time of this recording, which is on 2nd November 2021. So the time at which you may be seeing this video may be days, weeks, months, or even years down the road, so the information may or may not have already been outdated, but I will try my best to keep a pinned comment down in the comment section below updating any new information that we get as the game does continue to receive constant weekly updates. But without further ado, let us jump right into the video. So what exactly are guesses and how do you use them? Guesses are extra temporary characters that you can add on to your fighting party, and you can have up to a maximum of 2 guesses at any one time. Because they are temporary, you will need to re-invite the guesses every time you log out and log in back into the game. Okay, guesses come with their own HP and MP bar as well as their own set of skills. You are unable to unlock more skills for your guesses. Whatever comes with the guess is whatever the guess has. On top of that, they also have their own set of stats here which you are unable to change. Guesses do not have their own inventory, so you are unable to change out the equipment that they are using, but they do come with their own set of 2 HP and MP potions, which follows your character's HP and MP potion levels. Okay, but they are unable to gain anywhere more than 2 HP and MP potions, so 2 is the default for them. You are able to use guesses for almost every single regular story quest inside of the game, but there are certain exceptions which do not allow you to bring along guesses, but those are very far and few in between. You'll also not be able to bring guesses into the Inn at the Edge of Time challenges. The benefits of using guesses is that they not only provide extra damage in the form of their skills, but they also provide an additional meat shield for your character, which means that the enemies are likely to spend an extra turn hitting your guesses instead of hitting you, thereby increasing your survivability as well. But there are also downsides to bringing along guesses, and I will go through them in a moment. All guesses increases the monster's damage by 60%, so whether you are bringing 1 guess or 2 guess, the monster's damage will be increased by 60%. So you can see here 748 damage. Let us finish this off, and here you will see the second downside of bringing along guesses, and that is that if you have 0 charisma like my character, bringing along guesses will reduce the amount of EXP and gold that you gain from battle. Okay, so you can see I gained 3146 EXP and 263 gold, and I'm going to pass this up. So you can see 0 charisma on my character. Quick comparison here, same stat build but without guesses. Okay, so the enemy will not be dealing extra 60% damage to me, and on top of that, I will not get a penalty to the amount of EXP and gold that I am gaining. Now you can see here it's not very noticeable because I am using Uragiri, but this is accurate. You will not get an extra 60% damage from the enemies if you do not bring along a guess. Alright, so let's finish this guy off. You can see here I am gaining 3932 EXP and 328 gold instead, which is more than I would have if I had brought along my guesses. Now, let's say I have 200 charisma trained up, okay, and I go into the fight. Instead of getting a penalty to my EXP and gold, I will be gaining an extra 20% EXP as well as 20% extra gold for each guess that I bring along. So instead of a penalty, I am getting something extra, and this is really good for people who want to maximize their gold farming or EXP farming. The enemy, however, still does get an extra 60% damage against you if you do decide to bring along your guesses, but with 200 charisma trained, your guesses are also going to be dealing increased damage. So I guess there are both downsides as well as upsides to bringing along guesses, but in my opinion, if you are struggling really hard against certain story bosses, I'll highly recommend you to try it out and bring guesses into your party. They may very well help you to change the tide of the battle. Okay, so you can see here I have gained 4325 EXP and 361 gold, then which is more as compared to when I have no guesses with 0 charisma, or when I have 0 charisma and am bringing along guesses. Now I'm going to be going through with you guys what are some of the best guesses inside of the entire game, and this list is in no particular order, but for number 1 we are going to be starting off with Artix. So for Dragon Amulet holders, you want to get book 3 Artix, and you can find him inside of your book of lore over here. So we can take a look at Artix's skills right now by going into battle, and this Artix only has 2 skills, but the reason why he is really good is because he does really good damage. He has a decent bonus to hit, and he doesn't crit very often, but he still does quite a lot of damage. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the power of this Artix. So right here I have 200 charisma. Okay, so we can have the Purify skill, which is 4 hits, and this deals a massive amount of damage, and that is really one of the main reasons why you want to be using Book 3 Artix. His normal attack is decent enough, it's not too shabby, but his nuking skill is only on a 4-turn cooldown, so that's honestly not very long to wait. On top of that, he also has a really good healing skill, which I can show you guys over here. And the healing skill only heals him. Unfortunately, it doesn't heal you, but that doesn't really matter because you're not really going to be using this Artix for his healing, but more so for his damage. Now, let's go ahead and check out the Book 1 and Book 2 Artix, which is available to both NDA players as well as DA players. If you're a DA player, I think the Book 3 Artix is going to be much better. But if you are an NDA player, then unfortunately, you are only going to have access to Book 1 and Book 2 Artix. And the fastest way to invite him is by going to the Necropolis over here. Okay, so you can't have both versions of Artix, so let's uninvite this first. And now let's invite this one. So this version of Artix, lesser bonus, lesser damage as well as lesser crit, but he has a few more skills that you may consider useful. So I'm going to showcase these skills to you guys right now. Once again, 200 charisma build, no change. Okay, so this version of Artix, he has 5 different skills. Okay, so the first skill is just a multi-hit skill. This is really good when you're going into battle against multiple enemies. This version of Artix also does more damage against undead, whereas the Book 3 Artix does the same damage to all enemies. Blinding Light, this one is just a regular attack, doesn't really do anything. And then we have the next skill, which is the Slash. Okay, this one lowers enemies light resistance, so really good if you're using a light weapon, or if you're going up against an enemy and you just want extra damage because light is your best element. Okay, so it reduces the enemy's light resistance by 20, okay, for 4 turns or 5 turns inclusive. So let's do that. And his next skill, Restoring Light. This one heals not only himself, but also heals you as well. So this is a key difference between him and Book 3 Artix. So if you want a healing skill for your character, then you can consider bringing along Book 1 or Book 2 Artix instead. And his last skill is going to be his 4-hit nuke attack. Now, this is going to be much weaker compared to his Book 3 version, but it's still a good damage skill nonetheless. Next up, we have Aegis, which also comes in 2 different variants. So we are going to be going through the first variant of Aegis first, and you can access him. The fastest way to do so will be going to your Book of Lore, Book 1 Op Saga, go to the timeline, and then you want to scroll right over here. Dust Alley, go to Ravenloft right here. And the thing about Aegis is you need to have Soul Weaver or Master Soul Weaver armor equipped before you can actually invite him as a guest. But that being said, you are able to go ahead and, you know, change your armors after you have invited the guest. So after you have equipped your Soul Weaver armor, you can invite Aegis. You will need to have completed the Meet Aegis quest first, okay, over here, before you can unlock and invite him as a guest, but it's just a really short cutscene quest, if I'm not wrong, and you'll be able to invite him. Alright, so after you have invited him, you can go ahead and change out into a different armor if you choose to, but otherwise, you can, you know, remain in your Soul Weaver armor. Okay, so let's go ahead and see Book 1 and Book 2 Aegis, the amount of skills that he has. Okay, it is widely considered that Book 1 and Book 2 Aegis is the superior one compared to his Book 3 variant, and I'll explain why in a little bit. It's because he does slightly more damage. The amount of damage he does, it's not a lot, but you know, it's more than his Book 3 variant. So you can see here, first he has a frozen multi-attack over here. And because there are no monsters, you can see all of the hits go onto one monster, and that is actually really good, quite a lot of damage, okay? The next skill, he has a shield that increases your defense, but the shield is very weak, so it is almost not even worth using. Like, increases it by 40. Yeah, 40 BPD. It's not even an MPM shield, so it's really not even worth using in my opinion. The third skill, Ice Domain. This one weakens the enemy to ice. Really good synergy with your Ice Scythe combo. Okay, so you can see here, reduces the enemy's ice resist by 20 for 3 turns inclusive, or 2 turns. So this is actually decent if you really want to stack up the negative ice resist and deal as much damage to your enemy as possible using your ice weapon. And last but not least, we have Shatter. Okay, this one I believe is just a standard attack, nothing special. Let's go ahead and check out the enemy stats. Yep, doesn't really do anything. So that is basically it for all of Aegis book 1 and book 2's skills. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check out book 3 Aegis. Okay, book 3 Aegis is slightly more defensive. Okay, while it lacks out for offense, it does have a decent defensive skill. Okay, so you want to go to book 3 timeline over here, click on this one, go to Palo Village, go left one screen, go left another screen, and you want to go up into the forest here, and you can invite Aegis. Again, you will need to have your book 1 and you will need to have your Soul Weaver or Master Soul Weaver unlocked in order to go ahead, equipped in order to go ahead and invite him as a guest. Okay, so let's invite him there. Done. You can't have more than one variant of Aegis, same as Artix. Now let's go ahead and test it out and look at his skills. Okay, so go to challenge. Alright, so for this variant of Aegis, you can see here, again, same, he has a multi-strike attack, but you can see here, against one enemy, this does so much less damage compared to the very first Aegis. Very first Aegis, 5 hits, if you only have one enemy, then all 5 hits lands on that particular enemy, but this one, if you only have one enemy, then yeah, unfortunately, it's only 1 hit. This Aegis is more defensive, however, you can use shield over here, and this is a much better shield compared to the book 1 Aegis' shield. So if you want a more defensive guess, then you definitely want to go with book 3 Aegis. You can see here, increases your BPD by 140 for like 2 turns, okay, inclusive, so that is actually pretty decent. And then next up, we have Domain of Ice, which same as the first Aegis, it weakens your enemy's ice resistance by 20. Okay, but except this one is for 10 turns. So for the long-term fights, maybe this Aegis is slightly better because you don't need to keep using that same skill. Okay, next up we have Frozen Serpent. This one I believe stun. Yep, this is a stun. So stun is a defensive skill. It stuns your enemies for 1 turn. It's not fantastic because most of the monsters inside the game have immobility resistance of some sort, but if you're up against enemies who can be stunned, then he is a fantastic guest. And last but not least, we have Limit Break. This one, what it does is it transfers all of his mana into your mana. So if Aegis has like full mana 500 plus, you're basically getting a 500 plus MP heal out of Aegis. I don't really see much of a use for this skill other than for like super tight situations, but you know, if you ever run into a case whereby you are running out of mana, then this could be a great last resort. So all in all, each Aegis has its own use. Book 1 if you're going more offensive, book 2 if you're going more defensive. In my opinion, I still feel that book 1 is better because, you know, you can just kill the enemy faster. You don't really have to worry about anything else. Next up, we have the Nythera guest, and unfortunately, Nythera is only for DA players. You can get Nythera from your Book of Lore over here, and you can choose to invite her as your first or second guest. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a look at Nythera's skills. So Nythera has the most versatile skill sets out of all of the guesses that I'm going to be talking about in today's video, and that is what really makes her so great. So I'm going to show you guys her skills right now. So you can see here, Nythera has a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 different skills, and each of them has its own users. Razor Wind is basically just a wind element lock skill. It doesn't really has anything special to it. Okay, so let's take a look. No special effects whatsoever. Alright, so the next skill we have Flame. Okay, so this is a fire dot, so it's really good for dealing extra damage to your enemies, and for longer battles, this is a really good skill. Okay, so let's live carve. Alright, Rain, this one heals Nythera's HP, but it does have quite a long cooldown. Okay, this is great for extra sustainability. Oh, it also heals her MP, I almost forgot. So yeah, if you want her to stay on as a mid shield for longer, then this is great because it means that she will be able to heal herself, and that is not her only healing skill. I'll go through more of that a little bit later. Unearth, this one, really good defensive skill as well. Reduces your enemy's bonus. So if your enemy keeps hitting you, and this is a great skill, so minus 50 to hit. Unfortunately, it's only for 2 turns, so it's not a very long blind, but it's minus 50, so it is quite a decent blind in my opinion, and you definitely want to go ahead and use this against enemies that can hit you very hard. Alright, Haste, this one is a light element lock skill. Again, nothing really special about it. Okay, next skill, this one, beam. This one is an energy element, or is it light element? I can't remember. Yeah, it's a light element skill. It's basically a multi-hit. If you only have one monster, then all of the hits lands on that single monster. So it's a really good damaging skill, whether you're facing multiple enemies or you're facing only one enemy. Now let's go ahead and check out her last few skills. Okay, next up we have Raw. Again, this is just your standard light damaging skill, doesn't have any special effects whatsoever, decent damage. Alright, next up we have Fiend. Okay, Fiend, again, this is a void locked skill, so it's a triple question mark element. Okay, we call it the void element, so it's void locked, it doesn't really have any special effects, but it's still a decent skill. Okay, and then we have Rapture. This one is your second dot skill. It is slightly stronger than your fire dot skill, so you want to use this first for longer fights in order to maximize your damage. Alright, and last but not least, we have the Siphon skill. Okay, so let's look at the dot skill. Okay, so the dot skill is 3 turns and it does a decent amount of damage. Okay, so last but not least, we have Siphon. Okay, so this one heals you based on how many hits you land and how much damage you dealt. So it's a really good damaging and healing skill all in one. It doesn't do a lot of damage and it doesn't heal a lot of health, but you know, it's good if you want a little bit of healing as well as a little bit of damage at the same time. For the next guest, we have Sir Leon, and he is the only guest in the entire game currently to have a full set of 14 skills. So the fastest way to get to Sir Leon is going to Book 3 Timeline, and you want to scroll all the way to the right over here. Now, with the new changes, you will need to have completed some of Kara's quests in order to go to the Shears, and on top of that, you also need to complete one of his quests first before you can invite him as a guest. Namely, the quest is called Oculus Tower, so you need to have completed this first quest before you can invite him as a guest. But I'll show you guys why he's so good. You can only invite him as the first guest, however, so you don't have a choice of inviting him as the second guest. So that is one little downside, but it's not really a downside if you ask me. You can just, you know, use some other guests that will allow you to invite them as friend B instead. So for Sir Leon, he has a full set of warrior skills. Okay, so all of his skills are exactly the same as warrior skills here. I'm not going to go through every single skill because they are all exactly the same. All of his attacks are locked to the light element. He has a decent amount of bonus, but the only thing that is different for his skills as opposed to the regular warrior is that his final blow deals a crap ton of damage. Look at this, guys. 700 plus damage, no boosters whatsoever. Okay, granted the enemy, oh no, this enemy doesn't have any weakness to light, so 700 plus light damage without any boosters or bonuses whatsoever, and that is why Sir Leon is such a fantastic guest. If you can do a proper setup and nuke with Sir Leon's final, he can boost your damage very, very greatly. So Sir Leon is a highly recommended guest because he has so many different skills for you to choose from. He has defensive skills like this. He has a stun, but of course his stun is only one round. It's been standardized now that all guest stuns are only one round, so I guess that's another difference from regular warrior. But he has triple, he can do bleed, he can inflict 5% enemy damage reduction, attack your enemy's MP, triple, and then he can buff his own damage as well. He also has the power move, okay, which allows him to deal more damage. So yeah, all in all, Sir Leon is a really good and really versatile guest with the number of skills he has, and he's also very strong with his final skill. And last but not least, we have Rolith. Now, Rolith, unfortunately, is only for Dragon Amulet holders, so if you do not have a Dragon Amulet, unfortunately, you will not be able to use the Rolith guest. The fastest way will be to invite him through the Book of Law, but you can also get him from Oak Law, so I'm going to invite him and show off his skills right now. Now, what's good about Rolith is that he has a whopping 100 bonus, as you guys can see here. So for monsters that have a really high MPM or has a good shield, then Rolith would be your way to dealing more damage to the monster, especially if your character has trouble hitting it, but not with Rolith's 100 MPM. So Rolith also does quite a good amount of damage. We have heavy attack over here, 4 hits. Okay, you can see here his damage is not too shabby as well. So let's do this, and then we can do crushing attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 freaking hits, guys. 8 hits. Definitely not shabby at all, and we'll showcase his last skill. His last skill, if I remember correctly, should be a stun. Okay, yep. Smash your foe to stun. 2 hits, so you can stun any foe that doesn't have good immobility resist. So all in all, Rolith is a guest that not only has very high bonus, but he also has decent damage as well. So for monsters that actually, or bosses that actually have a really high MRM, then that's when you want to use the Rolith guest. So that is it for my DragonFable Guesses Guide 2021. Let me know down in the comments below what do you think of the guide. If I left out anything, be sure to let me know as well. What do you guys think of the guide? I definitely want to hear your feedback. And if you have any suggestions for other video ideas that you'd like to see me make, be sure to leave it down in the comments below as well. This video is kindly brought to you by Smite from the Gox Heaven Discord. It's thanks to him who gave me the idea to go ahead and make this guide. With that being said, if you guys have enjoyed the video, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to this channel if you guys would like to see more of such future content. Till the next time, I'm your host Korriban Gaming. Peace out.